Hi guys, to the main deal today, the Canadian Grand Prix, Practice 1 and Sprint Qualifying. Now, the major deal is Mercedes brought upgrades, McLaren brought upgrades, others brought some few things just to keep up the car. Mercedes brought a new front wing, reprofiled front end plate, brake winglets, rear winglets, channel head diffuser, while McLaren also brought upgrades. Mercedes brought 7 upgrades, McLaren brought 6 upgrades. A new bodywork for McLaren because they were looking at Red Bull's upgrade in Miami, especially the bodywork, and they're like, this looks good, and they are also like, we need to do something in this regards. Now, some part of the upgrades that Mercedes brought that looks interesting: the front wings end plate to improve the air management around the four wheels, the brake heat dissipator, the front brake intake to dissipate air, the heat easily from the brake. Some few other upgrades they brought just to make the car more faster. Let's start from the tech upgrades that McLaren brought. The front wing for performance, engine cover performance, that's the reprofile the engine cover, makes it look a little bit like the Red Bull in which they were working on before. They didn't just design it in the last 2 weeks, so they need to do a lot of testing and everything. Cooling louvers, alloy winglets, rear wing end plate, rear suspension and floor edge. Let's go to the Mercedes. Mercedes brought the front wing and the front wing end plate for performance, the front corner of the car for the circuit specific upgrade, the floorboard, the floor corner, the floor body and the rear corner. Those are the major things Mercedes brought. 4 upgrades for Red Bull. The front wing to balance the range, a typically new front wing for the Red Bull. That rear wing, I think, is large, really large for downforce, but they brought the front wing. They didn't bring the rear wing, but the rear wing has been on it. The front corner for reliability, the floor, they brought a new floor and the rear engine cover. Now, that's their front wings. That look very sick on the car. For Williams, they brought the front corner, front suspension, exhaust tailpipe. They are improving on their exhaust tailpipe. That their front wing also looks a little bit different. The VSAT Racing Bull, they brought the floor body, rear corner, beam wing and the exhaust tailpipe. While Haas brought some upgrades, they brought the side pod inlet, engine cover, floorboard, the rear suspension and the rear corner. Also, the Alpine brought some upgrades. They brought the floorboard, rear wings. Those are the 2 upgrades they brought. Meanwhile, Audi, they brought upgrades. They brought the floor diffuser, winglet, cooling louvers for the track specific performance upgrade, then the rear corner. The Cadillac keeps improving the car. They brought the front corner and the diffuser for the performance. They tried to improve, but one thing that I think has really improved is Aston Martin. No upgrades, but they really improved today. It shows that they don't need upgrades now. They need to improve the car, kill the vibrations, make the car go faster. Those are the things they need, and that is what they've done. They've really improved the car without upgrades. They've made the car faster. Today it shows that leaving the car in Japan had really worked out for them, and they're really pushing beyond the boundary of what they think they can do. Has really worked out for them, and kudos to Aston Martin team and Honda. They've really done a great job. Sprint qualifying today and practice today, they were very in the midfield. They were out of the league of Cadillac, as in they've gone ahead of Cadillac. Cadillac are now really the last team on the grid. Now this is experience both for Aston Martin and Honda. Aston Martin has been in the team for a long time. They've invested in over the years and in a lot of resources. Well, Cadillac are newcomers. They've invested a lot of money, but they are new in F1, so that is shocking and it take them time. But for Ferrari no upgrades, but I think, like I said, the last upgrades they've brought, they should really work on it and make the car go. Before bringing any upgrades, what they really need is the ADO. Before bringing any upgrades, make that car better first. Ferrari, make it better. Stop disturbing yourself. The practice went on abruptly because Liam Lawson had an issue, Alex Albon too had an issue. They were unable to have a full hour. I think they had about 40 minutes of practice for today, which I think didn't really work out for some team. But with the weekend still going on, tomorrow the race qualifying again, I think they will be able to improve a little on what they've learned during the sprint race and the qualifying tomorrow. So that is certain going into Monaco, which will be the next race. After there's been a lot of improvements from the team. McLaren closed it up, Mercedes closed it up, Ferrari, Red Bull are still struggling, but they're in the mix. But they don't look like a team that will be in the mix this weekend. Probably it's just a day. Tomorrow they might come out different. They might see a new team tomorrow, but let's see what happens. Now let's go to Mercedes. The upgrades Mercedes have brought have really improved the team. They are like 3/10 because they said these upgrades should give them 3/10, and at the end of the qualifying we saw that they were 3/10 away from every other team. McLaren was second, and with McLaren, Ferrari Ferrari, McLaren were close. We saw that in Miami also. But with McLaren, I think the upgrades they've brought still brought them a little bit closer. But that Mercedes team is out of their league. These are doing a great job this season, a very great job this season. And Kimi Antonelli is doing a wonderful job this season. So up to McLaren. For McLaren, they've brought upgrades. Those upgrades, did they really work? I think they worked. But bringing upgrades for sprint races is not the best because you won't be able to flog it, get the best out of it, know how the upgrades perform. We saw that the best way to qualify in Montreal was doing a double lap, go, or probably push the tire, rest the tire, push it, which gives you some better juice. But I think double warm-up lap just gives you the best. That's what I think. Then let's see where they take it tomorrow. It's more than a touch and go. Double warm up, you're good. Then Alonso getting the car right. He really pushed the car today. He was on the money today. He was pushing that car. And I think Alonso is one of the reasons why Aston Martin is really improving. They are really pushing a lot of effort and a lot of work into what they have. That guy is a workaholic. 44, he's working his ass out to make sure that car is better. And I think that is working for Aston Martin. Aston Martin done a great job this season. Like I said, I thought with what they've done and coming to Canada, they have to prove themselves, and that might be their own Bahrain, but they really pushed it beyond Bahrain. Let's see how they can do going forward from now, but they've really made the car better, and I think it's a good job from their side. Now to Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton promised that he won't be using the simulator coming into this race in Canada. He said he didn't use the simulator in China and he had a good performance, so he's been using it, and the correlation is not really working out for him because the data he gets and how he sets the car up in the simulator, by the time they get to track, the brake balance, the corner balance, everything just goes off and they have to keep looking for something else. But now this weekend, he said he was able to use something he had not used in the car before, although he went to Maranello, no simulations for Lewis Hamilton, which was a good one, and he kept to his word. And coming into this weekend, he was faster than his teammates. Great setup, great fight, a good job for him, keeping to his words and showing us that probably the simulator is not a good place for him. But in the next few races, we'll see how good it is. Although he said there are some places that he thinks simulator will be needed, but should be for deployment for him, not for setup for races and so on, but for deployment, for highs, understanding, he will do simulations, and that I think is great. Now we released a video about Ocon and Ayao Komatsu, but Ocon had come to say no, he's never having a problem with Ayao Komatsu. They have a fine relationship. Ayao Komatsu has been at a point, he's race engineer and he calls him Ryo Komatsu, and they have a good relationship. There's nothing like he's leaving, somebody else is coming in, they are doing fine. But today we saw a different Ocon. All through practices and qualifying today, Ocon was on the money. He was pushing himself, he was pushing the car, he was just on the money, and probably maybe what people said got into him. And I think maybe people should keep talking about him. Maybe he gets the best out of him. Well, great job. And to his teammate Oliver Bierman, great job for Oliver Bierman. He was also on the money, but he was unable to get some good place in qualifying because some other teams have improved. Yeah, Williams have improved. So that is it. Now to Cadillac. I think Cadillac will be the last team, though they've improved, but they look like the last team, and that might be where they will be for some time. They are over this year, going into next year, we could see they will improve. But would it be as much as we think? I'm not sure, but they're going to improve. Now to sprint qualifying, which is the main deal. The sprint qualifying, the SQ1, we had 12 minutes, medium tires, pull it out. A lot of drivers came out on heavy fuel, so they won't go back. They'll just do the cool down lap, go on the money again like that. But it worked. But Aston Martin, like I said, they've really improved. Alonso was able to qualify into Q2 for the first time this season. Aston Martin in Q2, Alonso in Q2. What a great one for them. Hamilton, good work. Led SQ1. The Mercedes upgrades, they were behind him, but a good job. Perez out in 17, Stroll 18, Gasly was out in 19th, Bottas 20, Albon did not start qualifying, and Liam Lawson did not start qualifying. But great qualifying. We are getting much closer, and probably in some races we'll get much more closer. SQ2, we had Russell on the money. Max Verstappen struggled to get into SQ3. It was night. That was a big struggle for him because at the point his first run was cancelled because of track limit. The second one, he struggled, was not on the money. The third one, the car was jumping, he just went in straight inside the pit lane, and he was hoping with his hand close to his teeth that he qualifies, and well, he was able to qualify. So Hulkenberg out, Bortoleto, that's the two Audi, Colapinto, Ocon, Bierman and Alonso that didn't start. They were out in SQ2, but good one. SQ1, for me, I think Aja did a good job today. This is the first time this season that he's so close to his teammate Max Verstappen, though Max Verstappen said he was not having a good car. Bad qualifying in SQ2, but in SQ1 he had it on the money. But the McLarens, the Ferrari, that Red Bull is not in their league. He is not there. The Red Bull is not there at all. Aja had a collapse in Miami, but coming back and putting himself close to his teammates, is a great one for him. Russell, pole position for sprint. Kimi, Norris, Piastri, the McLaren did a great job, got close. Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen, Aja, Lindblad, and Carlos Sainz. The sprint race will be set tomorrow in a dynamic way, and I hope the Mercedes they've changed their clutch. That's one of the things they've changed, so I can help them in start. They've changed their clutch, and let's hope the two Mercedes can start very well. The small turbo in the Ferrari has been helping them, but the McLaren don't have a small turbo. They have a medium size or probably a bigger turbo, but that turbo is really helping them. We've seen Piastri add a blistering start this season, some crazy blistering start since race 3. And I think that should help them. But let's see what happens tomorrow. Up until tomorrow, in the main qualifying and the sprint race, you don't want to miss it, because Montreal, you don't know what might happen. Love you guys. Catch you. Bye. Cheers.